I'm going to add a live goal. I'm going to change this one. Edit. I'm really, really grumpy today, guys. I don't know if I should have gone live today. Good morning. Good morning. It's Non-Believers Bible Study this morning. I don't have my prompt because something happened to it. I'm very grumpy this morning because I have not been sleeping well, and it makes me so grumpy when I can't sleep at night. And then I try to sleep in the morning, and my little pupper dup will not let me sleep. Good morning, Pax. Good morning, Cyber. We are in Exodus chapter 19 this morning. Yeah, I'm kind of grumpy. I'm going to get YouTube going real quick. If you guys could keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live, doing the gift goal, all the good things, I'd really appreciate it. If you're my friends and you want to come up this morning for the Bible study, the request box is open. Give me just 1 second to start OBS. Let's see. TikTok. We want this screen. We want all of this shut down. We want to go to Crystal's Live. I don't know what the hell this is. I want to go to Crystal's Live. My live. I want to go to it. All right. Now we want to go to OBS, and I think this will work. Nothing has been working this morning. I'm really irritated. I'm tired and grumpy. Bert, I have something fun to share. Are you able to come up today, Bert? Yeah, can you go to YouTube and check and see if it is streaming for me? Eventually I will probably get to Acts. I'm trying to go through the Bible book by book. In order for me to accept the spaceship moon, Cyber, I am gonna need to see the inner workings. Yeah, I'm gonna need to see the inner workings. Yeah, I am going in order. So you guys, I don't know where all, I know I'm running late, so maybe you don't see me on YouTube. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go do a thing. I have to go to my YouTube studio, I think. And I need to go to create, go live, and check. Is this not, oh, it's set to unlisted. I need to make it not unlisted, and then we will go live. Okay. Oop. Nope. Okay. We should be live on YouTube now. Can you check for me once more? I think I fixed the issue. YouTube, I'm sorry. If you are watching me on YouTube, I apologize. If you are my friends, come on. Bert, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, wait, let me turn up my volume. I do turn it down a lot. Okay. Now I can hear you. Bert, want to see what I got for $1.50?
The Jewish Study Bible.
Yes. Oh, wait, there we go.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? I bought a bunch of books. That's why it was only $1.50, because I bought like 20 something books from this lady. She was selling them for $2 each. And I also got the Catholic Living Bible. So here's my new Bible collection. I have the Catholic Living Bible, the Jewish Study Bible, the Oxford Companion to the Bible. This is kind of personal, but I had these wonderful next door neighbors when I moved in here 7 years ago. and they were the nicest people, like really nice people. And like for instance, I found out that they do this annual party at our other next door neighbor's house, and the night of the party, like they came over to our house to pick us up to walk us to our other next door neighbor's house.
It's very sweet.
They were just the sweetest people. He used to be the football coach in town, and she was telling me how they used to party every Friday night at her house back in the 80s and stuff. And then like one day and we didn't like hang out all the time, but we would talk over our fence kind of all the time, and they would come out and listen to our music while we hung out by the pool and things like that. And then it just like I started seeing less and less in them. And then one day when I was talking to her, her name was Harleen, something was off. Like I couldn't tell, like I was like, I thought she was upset with me or something. Something seemed off. And then we found out she had dementia. And then one day they were just gone. Like they just weren't our neighbors anymore. Hey, Jaren, how are you? Anyway, I went to their little estate sale and I had to get her Bible. That way I can always like remember her in a special way. So I got her Bible, and hers is, what version is this? This is the this is the New King James Version, which will be great for when I'm dealing with Christians. Of course, my Bible, the NRSV, and then my mommy's Bible, the American Standard. So I'm getting quite a collection. I have more Bibles now than when I was a Christian. How is it possible to love you even more today? I don't know. Yeah, Bibles are pretty cool, Jaren. If anybody wants to come up, Pax, Jaren, Cyber, any of you want to come up this morning? We are in Exodus chapter 19. I did a little homework this morning and listened to Joel read's Bible before doing this. DC is here, yay! And JD and DC. Did I get both of you up here? Except you. All right, there we go. Yeah, I saw Cyber in here. Good morning.
Hey, I have to take a quick phone call, but I'm gonna stay on the thing, but I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem.
And I'm gonna go grab a Bible real quick.
All right, you guys do your things. Keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live, doing all the stuff. Even though this is more of a private show that I do for just us who are atheists and deconstructors and things like that. The more you share and do all the good things, then when I go live for other things, it still helps those. Okay, it helps boost those in the algorithm. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn to 19. We don't have to start till JD gets back. But we're going to be heading in after 19. We'll probably be heading into 20 and 21 today as well. We'll be going into the commandments this morning. Yes, we will. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I am really trying to get to 50 subbies. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe on YouTube. I am trying to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, Cyber. Absolutely. I will be posting more shorts today and tomorrow from the shows that I've done recently with Justin, and I have a few other shows that I haven't posted any shorts for. I can't remember what all. This week
Hey,
I
Crystal?
have coming up. Yes.
Oh, let me show you what I'm reading out of today.
Okay.
Turn my camera on.
I'm going to make you big.
Wait, where's the flip? Where's my flip? Oh my God. There we go.
Thank you, Cyber.
A Tanakh.
You're reading from the Tanakh. Wait, look. I have the. Did you see that I got the Jewish Study Bible?
Oh yeah.
So this is the Jewish Study Bible Tanakh translation. That's so cool. We're both really cool, JD.
Very
We're
cool.
the
All right.
coolest non-Christians ever.
I
That's
tell
all
you
I
what.
gotta say.
You guys get a deconstruction badge.
Thank you. I've been
What-
wanting one. Gosh,
Where are we at?
all this time. Chapter 19.
19.
Do I want to read it from the Tanakh or do I want to read it from the NRSV? I think I'll just read it from the NRSV. You can tell me if there's things different in the
Yeah,
Tanakh.
I'll let you know if there's
okay?
anything different.
Yeah. All right. Is everybody ready for today's study? Okay.
So mote be.
All right, here we go. On the third new moon, after the Israelites had gone out of the land of Egypt, on that very day, they came into the wilderness of Sinai. They had journeyed from Rephidim. Do you think that's Rephidim? Entered the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness. Israel camped there in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God. The Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, now, okay, I just have to point this out because Joel did. It says, then Moses went up to God. Okay, so he goes up, right? And then it says, and God, Then Moses went up to God. The Lord called to him from the mountain. If he went up, how's he calling from the mountain to him too? Saying, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the Israelites, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on the eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession out of all the peoples indeed. The whole earth is mine, but you shall be for me a priestly kingdom and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the Israelites. Good morning, Grandma Zana. Do you want me to read? Is it much different, JD, in the Tanakh?
Not really.
Okay.
It says Moses ascended to God, and Hashem called to him from the mountain, saying, and this is basically the same thing. It's got a couple of shalls and
Shalls and shall nots. All right, so Moses is going up the mountain now. He's talking to God. God's talking to him. We're going to come up to something pretty. I think it's here that I find that will help us when we're out there talking to these Christians. So Moses came, summoned the elders of the people, and said before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him. The people all answered as one. Everything that the Lord has spoken, we will do. Moses reported the words of the people to the Lord. Then the Lord said to Moses, I'm going to come to you in a dense cloud in order that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so trust you ever after. Okay, so listen to me. When Christians say to you, but that was from Moses, what did God just say that he was going to do? He was going to make it so they trusted Moses forever. So we're supposed to be trusting Moses forever. Right? Like they can't use that anymore.
yeah, Tanakh actually says, believe in you forever.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
So that's in 19, verse 9, if you ever need it. To pull that one out when they go, yeah, but that was Moses speaking.
Make a note.
Definitely. When Moses had told the words of the people to the Lord said to Moses, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and prepare for the third day, because on the third day, the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set limits for the people all around, saying, be careful not to go up the mountain or to touch the edge of it. Any who touch the mountain shall be put to death. No hand shall touch them, but they shall be stoned or shot with arrows. whether animals or human being, they shall not live. When the trumpet sounds a long blast, they may go up on the mountain. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people. He consecrated the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, prepare for the third day. Do not go near a woman. Don't have sex. Okay? No sex. But I have a lot of questions, so I hope Bert comes back shortly because this is the part where I have questions. So my first question is, it says, go to the people and consecrate them. So consecrate usually means to set something apart, but this seems to be more of an action word here where Moses has to do something. You know what I mean? To the people in order to set them apart. Hi, African atheist. Good to see you. But I don't know what. I don't know what it is that he's supposed to do.
Isn't it just a
Tanakh
ritual
says-
of consecration? Sorry, JD, go ahead.
I was going to say the Tanakh says to sanctify them.
I know, but what does he do to sanctify them? Like, what's the actual
Yeah, what's the
action
ritual
that he
to it?
does?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what I kind of want to know. And then it says, will come upon the Mount Sinai. You shall set limits for the people. Saying, be careful. Oh, this is a weird one to me too. Like, where does a mountain begin? Like, don't touch the mountain. I mean, like, how do you not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. What part, like, how do you know where a mountain, if I start on the pathway down here at the very bottom, like, is that part of the mountain? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, a mountain isn't just an easily.
Yeah. So here it says, you shall set boundaries for the people round about. So I guess he set out markers, boundary markers.
Oh,
Like, you
okay.
can't go past
that
here.
makes better sense.
And your
Because
version
I'm like,
said,
how do you?
your version
Go
said
ahead.
stoned and what, arrows or what was it?
Shot with
Yeah.
arrows.
Yeah, this one says stoned or thrown down. Nothing about arrows.
Let me look. Okay, so I have a footnote. It says Hebrew lacks with arrows. It just says, okay. So what my book is saying is that it says, but they shall be stoned or shot.
Dang, that's a big difference.
With arrows, it says the Hebrew lacks with arrows.
That's a big difference than thrown down.
Yeah, that is. So now we got to wait for the good rabbi to come back, and we're going to have to ask him some questions. Maybe we should just talk amongst ourselves for a minute. Why did God want the people to trust Moses when in Numbers God almost kills Moses? I don't know, Grandma Zana. I don't know.
Granted, he does the same thing in Exodus, in the beginning of Exodus.
I am reading the NRSVUE, and JD has the Tanakh. And he's reading and telling us the differences in the Tanakh. I do have the Tanakh right here, but JD's taking care of that for us this morning. What about the Book of Enoch? That has nothing to do with our Bible study this morning. I think that it is. Is the Book of Enoch in the Apocrypha?
Yes, it's in, so, apocryphal writing. It's either apocrypha or apocryphal. I think it's apocryphal because, like, the Old Testament extra books, I think, are apocryphal, and the New Testament extra books are apocrypha, I think.
Okay, so I only have the Apocrypha, and I don't see it in the Apocrypha. It says Apocrypha Deuteronomical books, and I don't see it listed. So we won't be going through Enoch, I don't think, in our Bible study, because we're just going through the regular Bible with the Apocrypha. Is Enoch in the Catholic Bible? Does anybody know?
Enoch-
What?
It may be. I think it may be I think they actually include the Apocrypha. Yeah, the Apocryphal.
Yeah, but I'm just
Yeah,
confused
I've
because I
never looked
really
at
thought
the Catholic Bible, but I think it is.
because I have the Catholic Bible too. Oh wait, that's not it. This one's the Catholic. Let's see. While we're waiting for Bert, we'll just do this real quick. I don't even know where they put those books in
Yeah.
in the Bible.
I think I may have had it backwards. So Apocrypha is the Old Testament. Apocryphal is the New Testament. Extra books.
Oh, okay.
So basically, Apocrypha is just a group of writings that are religious that are not found in the canon, and Apocryphal is like fictitious, legendary, mythical like writings, which we would all say they all are mythical.
Right, but I knew what you meant, like
Yeah.
the way that they saw. I just I don't see it in my book, and my book includes the apocryphal deuterocanonical books, but I don't see Enoch in there. Now I want a Bible with Enoch in it. How do I get one of those? Do I need the Ethiopian Bible? Is that what I need? I think I do. Do you think that's like, I don't know what versions have that book, but I do need to read it.
Yeah, I'm curious to read it too. Have you read it, DC?
Yes, there's actually more than just one book. There's a volume of Enoch. I think there's three books. I've read the first book, and the authenticity is different between the books as well. Um, but yeah, so when people say book, what about the Book of Enoch? You really should ask them which book, because there's not just one Book of Enoch.
Okay.
I think I am, Grana. I'm working on it. And you know what? Like, I started getting jealous of how Justin could just turn around and pull out like any Bible, or Nick Graves. She does that too. She's like, "You want to see my Bibles? I got Bibles." And I was like, "I want different Bibles." So yeah. So now I'm collecting different Bibles.
Bibles for
I'm
days.
cheap though. Yeah, Bibles for days. Hey, Rabbi, you are much needed right now. So I'm going to read
Okay,
you
what
what
can I
we
do?
we're in Exodus chapter 19, and I'm going to read you what we just read, and then we've got questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. Ashlyn, if you want to come up, you can. We're just hanging out doing non-believers Bible study. As I've said, anybody who wants to can come on up. As long as you're friendly. I have to know you, okay? When
Not in the
Moses,
biblical sense.
no, but if I do know you in the biblical sense, that's okay too. Okay. Okay.
Ah,
When Moses had told the words of the people
sorry,
to
what
the
verse?
Lord,
Sorry, what verse?
verse 10.
Okay, sorry.
When Moses had told the words of the people to the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, have them wash their clothes." Now, I understand consecrate usually means to set apart, but what is the actual action that Moses does to consecrate the people?
That's a great question. It says, "Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, lech el ha'am v'kidashtem hayom." It just says, "Kidashtem," make yourselves holy or separate yourselves. Hayom umachar kibsu simlotam. Let them go and wash their clothes tomorrow. Yeah, I
To
mean,
me, it feels like that might be like you need them all to bathe, wash their clothes, and get like clean or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's the rabbis would say it's a ritual bath, like the mikveh ritual bath. Uh, I'm trying to see if there's any commentary that kind of speaks to it. I mean, purity rituals are by washing them in water. This is indicated, and let them go wash their. So there's both. Great. Okay, so this is helpful. So the commentary is saying that the ritual bath is for them and for their clothing. So they're
Oh,
not
okay.
only the making themselves holy is through the ritual bath, which was kind of my thought originally, and then they're also going to wash their clothes.
I like Alexander says, like baptism, because that's what Christians will tell you. Oh, so they all got baptized before they went up there.
Well, so that's where baptism comes from. They have it in
Ah,
reverse. Baptism
I see.
is in conversation with or picking up on the tradition of mikvah. Um, yeah.
So I was pointing out something earlier that Joel pointed out because I listened to Joel reads Bible this morning before I came. I was like, he's kind of like a cheat sheet. If I would just go listen to his chapters before we do this, I would have. But actually, he just makes mostly funny commentary, so he wasn't a lot of help. Joel, thanks. You weren't a lot of help. Okay, but
He should write a book, honestly. Like it would, I think, like I would love to co-author a book with him, with his commentary, and like I think that would be so irreverent and funny.
oh
Um,
my gosh. It really would. He was like when it said like you know at the in third or is it 15 here it says and he said to the people prepare for the third day do not go near a woman. I forget what version he was reading from because his basically said like it didn't say don't have smecks but it was basically alluding to that so he was like what God come on we can't have sex. Um, but one thing he pointed out, though, for real, is that in verse 9 of chapter 19, it says, Then the Lord said to Moses, I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, in order that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so trust you ever after. And I was saying that Christians always tell us things like, yeah, but Moses wrote that that's not really God. Well, we're supposed to trust Moses forever. So if Moses said it, God told us to trust it.
am I supposed to
Any other
respond? Uh,
any other commentary from 1 through 15?
yeah, I have something to say about the "Don't Go
Okay.
Near a Woman" piece.
Okay.
There's a book by Judith Plaskow called "Standing Again at Sinai," and the thesis of the book is like it is very clear that 50% of the Jewish people were ignored by this text. And by basically, what she's doing is saying Judaism needs to stand again at Mount Sinai and include women. And the big culminating piece of this is her saying, this is what she says. Entry into the covenant at Sinai is the root experience of Judaism, the central event that established the Jewish people. Given the importance of this event, there can be no verse in the Torah more disturbing to the feminist than Moses' warning to his people in Exodus 19:15. Be ready, for the third day do not go near a woman. For here, at the very moment that the Jewish people stands at Sinai, ready to receive the covenant, not now the covenant with the individual patriarchs, but with the people as a whole. At the very moment when Israel stands trembling, waiting for God's presence to descend upon the mountain, Moses addresses the community only as men. At the central moment of Jewish history, women are invisible. Whether they too stood there trembling in fear and expectation, what they heard when the men heard these words of Moses, we do not know. It was not their experience that interested the chronicler or that informed and shaped the Torah. And so her whole thesis hinges on this paragraph in that in order for Judaism to speak to people in this moment, there needs to be another Mount Sinai moment that is truly inclusive of all people.
Wow. So she doesn't take it that they're saying just don't have smacks. She takes it like don't go near a woman.
Well, yes, and I would say like the even if you just read it as don't have schmecks, she's saying like I would argue that she is saying that it's something like that's what women are for, right? Like even then,
Oh.
it's still problematic because it's like that's the only thing. That's the only way in which women are, you know, seen in this moment.
Yeah. And throughout this stupid
Sorry.
book. No, I really appreciate that. That was a very good point. Yeah, women are absent from the viewpoint entirely, for sure, Ashland. Okay. All right. Anything else on 1 through 15? Questions or commentaries? I should check. I'm sorry. Let me check YouTube to see if anybody's in there. Most of the time during Bible study, there's not. So I don't check it a lot. But let me check it just in case there's any questions in there. Okay. Well, there are people there. Hi, Ligma. How are you? It's crazy that the Bibles don't include Enoch on us. Okay, so it was, hey, Jen, how are you? You guys, welcome. Sorry, I didn't see you there because I didn't have my YouTube up. I didn't charge everything last night. I was tired after streaming almost all day yesterday, so I was not prepared for this morning. Okay. On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, as well as thick cloud on the mountain, and a blast of a trumpet so loud that all the people... Oh, wait, I do want to go back to one thing. It says that didn't the people all say something in unison to Moses a minute ago? Said
All that you say we will do. I mean, I think that's a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was there. Maybe I'm, I don't know. I just find it funny to assume
Verse
that,
8. All that Adonai has
Okay.
spoken, we will do. Yeah.
Can you imagine all the people actually saying something all at once? Just random.
Especially the Jewish people. You know what I'm saying?
You said it. You said that just...
We can't agree on anything.
I can't imagine a whole family saying the same thing all at once. Okay. On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, as well as a thick cloud on the mountain, and a blast of a trumpet so loud that all the people who were in the camp trembled. Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God. They took their stand at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was wrapped in smoke because the Lord had descended upon it in fire. The smoke went up like the smoke of a kiln, while the whole mountain shook violently. As the blast of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses would speak and God would answer him in thunder. When the Lord descended upon Mount Sinai to the top of the mountain, the Lord summoned Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down and warn the people not to break through to the Lord to look otherwise." Go down and warn the people not to break through to the Lord to look. Otherwise, many of them will perish. Oh, we did have another question. We'll get back to it in just a second. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves to the Lord will break out against them. Moses said to the Lord, "The people are not permitted to come up to Mount Sinai, for you yourself warned us, saying, 'Set limits around the mountain and keep it holy.'" The Lord said to him, "Go down and come up, bringing Aaron with you, but do not let either the priests or the people break through to come up to the Lord. Otherwise, he will break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and told them. We want to go back for a second, though. We have a question about arrows. Okay, back on verse 13, it says, "No hand shall touch them, but they shall be stoned or shot with..." Now, in my version, NRSVU, it says with arrows. But down at the footnote, it says Hebrew lacks with arrows. But JD is reading the Tanakh. And what does it say, JD, in verse 13? It says throw
Verse
down or
13
something.
says, "For he shall surely be stoned or thrown down."
So what is with the arrows and shot or whatever?
So,
Why is that saying that?
yes. Okay. So, great. So stoning is not throwing stones at somebody. It's pushing somebody off a cliff.
Really?
Yeah, it's throwing them
What?
off a
Wow.
cliff. Yeah. So people often
Okay.
think that stoning is, yeah.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
hurling stones at someone is this shot thing. So you might use a slingshot or you might use your hands. and the stoning piece is casting somebody down.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. You guys, you see
You
why
are
we do Bible
man.
study?
Yeah.
It's very
Here,
interesting.
So this is Rashi's comment. He shall surely be cast down. From this we derive the law regarding those who are sentenced to be stoned, that they are tossed down from a spot twice the height of a man's stature,
Wow.
which
Wow.
feels like that would hurt a lot.
I don't
Good
know if that
morning,
would
Nick. Good morning, Liz.
necessarily
Get up here.
unalive you, though. That would just
Right.
hurt.
That would just hurt. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Could you imagine? Like, you could just
Nope.
paralyze somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that far, but far enough to hurt.
Yeah. Sanhedrin 45a. That's the ruling on that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worse or better, Ashland. I don't know. I did not know that. Nick, did you know that stoning was throwing people off a cliff?
Wow, no.
I
That
did not know that.
I would scream wee all the way down now.
You're ridiculous.
course
Good
you would,
morning,
Nick.
Dagda.
Oh, this is worse. It gets even worse. So the Talmud in Sanhedrin 45a says that the comment is that a condemned person was thrown off a height typically twice the height of an average person, so that they would fall down to the ground. If they did not perish, a large stone would then be dropped on the person's chest.
Oh,
my
hell no.
God.
Holy crap. No way.
Sorry, I'm
Bert,
just a messenger
Bert,
here. Please
you
don't.
come from
please
a
don't
long
stone me.
line of very violent people, Bert.
Oh my God. I don't mean to cuss on your line, but
Oh,
goddamn.
yeah, sorry. I'm just.
Oh, wow.
Ugh.
Wow.
I'll say this:
Wow.
there's no evidence of any of these punishments actually being carried out, so that's my my saving grace here. But
Wow. That's just wild. Okay. I'm really glad we circled back to ask that question. I'm really glad.
are
Me too.
we so glad that we circled back? I mean,
I actually am, because now I can be like a little know-it-all when people
Yeah.
talking about stoning during Christian lives. I could be like, that's not what that actually means.
just cite Sanhedrin and don't cite me, please. That's all I ask.
Okay.
I don't want to be associated with that in
I'm
any
gonna
way,
say
shape, or form.
Bert told me.
Yeah. The citation is Sanhedrin 45a, so then you sound really scholarly, and
Ooh.
I'm not
And
thrown under
remember
the
to
bus, so to
say,
speak.
all of you Gentiles, all of you, is it goyim? Is that the right
I
word?
hate that. Yeah, I hate that word. It
All
just
of you
means nations,
say
but I,
Sanhedrin, not Sanhedrin. Okay, that's the thing you gotta remember. Sanhedrin. Okay,
You know,
so let's go. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Rabbi, I think your ancestors. I think our ancestors would have gotten along really well.
I guess.
It just you could give the Norse a run for their money, I think.
Oy. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, anyways, continue.
So, Crystal, I got one other difference in the Tanakh that I'm reading and what you said. Can you read verse 19 again?
Sure. 19. As the blast of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses would speak, and God would answer him in thunder.
Okay, so mine says, and God would respond to him with a voice.
Hmm.
What do you got on
Rabbi?
that, Bert?
What's the question? Sorry, I was looking up. There was a
So-
question in the chat.
Oh, okay. In 19, mine NRSVUE says that God would answer him in thunder, but his says in a voice in the Tanakh.
Yidaber Elohim Yananenu B'Kol, in a voice.
Why does mine say thunder?
Mine is also in thunder, like in the translation, but it's very like I'm reading the JPS, Jewish Publication Society, and the word is out. This is exactly why I wanted to bring this up, because if you go to 1 Kings 19:12, you get the real answer. Because
Oh,
I think that
okay.
this is evidence of a borrowed story from 1 Kings 19:12.
Okay, do you
Oh.
have it or do you need me to pull it up?
I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, so this is Elijah is standing on the mountain. Come out, Adonai called, and stand on the mountain before God. And lo, God passed by. Right? This is exactly what happens with Moses. There was a great and mighty wind, splitting mountains and shattering rocks by Adonai's power, but Adonai was not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake, but Adonai was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but Adonai was not in the fire. And after the fire, a soft murmuring sound. And there was a voice, a small, still voice, a call de mama daka. And I think that the late authorship of Exodus is picking up on the tradition from the Book of Kings, which is during the king period from about 1100 BCE to 600 BCE. And during the Babylonian exile, they're picking up on this and creating this Mount Sinai story. And so it's this whole thunder thing is, I think, in conversation with First Kings. That's my
Hmm.
that's my
Crystal.
Okay, so yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Well,
No,
I was
go
just going
ahead.
to say, can I bring it back for just a second?
Absolutely.
I put in the chat, but I have to mention it. When I was a kid going through Sunday school, they always said the time when Jesus was going to be stoned by the people and then he just walks away from the cliff. I was like, why are they taking him to a cliff? It never made any sense. So they're going to
Oh,
stone him. Why is he walking away from a
yes.
cliff? So now I get it. It's like, oh,
Now that makes sense. You're right.
yes.
Very good point. I love that. Okay. First off, you guys, please try to get me to 5,000 likes as quickly as possible and 100 shares, even if you just copy. Also, I have a gift goal. They're only $1 each. When you help me reach my gift goal, it helps me get out into the FYP. Not even just today, but on all future lives. And I want to tell you something very exciting. Nick Graves is going to be my guest on Friday
Yay.
at 3 p.m. Pacific time, which directly makes us go against Justin. So we want you guys to come see us. You see Justin all the time, and you can listen to his on YouTube later. Okay? Come talk with us. Ask Nick all your questions. Nick is a wealth of knowledge, not just about the Bible, but about lots of religions. And she's a pagan, so she's got some of that going for her too.
coolest.
So wait a minute.
She's the coolest.
You said we can ask Nick all the questions?
All the questions.
I am an open book on Friday.
I can't
make
wait.
sure you
Saturday.
join us on Friday. Yeah, Saturday she's not going to talk to any of you, but Friday you guys can talk to her and ask her.
Not
I
before,
can't
not
wait.
after.
Not before, not after.
Thank you for the 5,000 likes. Thank you for all the shares, DC. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And don't forget, you can also gift my esteemed panel, because when you gift them, it also pushes out the live, and I really appreciate it. Anything to push out the live.
And
We
that's the
have
only
to
reason why I do
appease.
this, for pennies. I'm only doing this for.
We just we have to appease the algorithm god.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Okay. So my thoughts as a non-believer are, this just sounds like they are, hey, Tully, they sound like they are walking up a volcano. This just sounds like volcanic
Yeah, it
activity
really does.
to me.
It really does.
Well,
You
the
know?
reason, and this is the jealousy piece, okay, so Adonai, Yud-He, Vav-He, is the god of the kiln. He's the god of the smelting. He's the copper god, the bronze god. And so when it says jealousy, they're not actually talking about a god that's jealous. They're talking about a god that needs tending to, like a fire. And so, like this is I think more evidence of this kind of. It's the Bronze Age. I mean, these people are, bronze is king.
Yeah, like a toddler, Nick is right, and like a narcissist. He needs constant attention. Otherwise, he will explode like a volcano. So, any other questions or commentary on the end of chapter 19, verses 16 through the end? Nope. All right, let's move on to 20. We are going to get the first of the commandments, the 10 commandments, the first set.
As we read this, can we keep in mind this is the only commands that Christians think we have to follow?
Yes, yes. Let's keep that in
But they
mind,
don't
and
even have
let's
to do that.
remember.
They don't even have to follow that because, like, we'll get there. Sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
Well, Jesus also tells them at one point that all of it hangs on 2 commandments. So some of them think they only have to follow 2 commandments.
You're right. I guess
Uh,
it's which Christians you talk to.
Yeah, those crazy Christians, they never can agree. Okay. Then God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you. Okay, wait, let me do my God voice. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. I kind of forgot to stop at verse 3, but so far, any questions or commentary?
A lot of contradictions to other scriptures so far.
Do you like my God voice?
It was
I
great.
love your God voice.
Um,
Can I
Yeah.
give my version of the 10 Commandments?
oh, sure.
Number 1, we've just begun. God should be first in your life. Number 2, those, I got laughing. Number 2, the idol rule, those graven images aren't nice. Number 3, God's name should be never spoken in jest. Number 4, the Sabbath for our worship and for rest. Number 5, we all should strive to honor father and mother. Number 6, don't get your kicks from killing one another. Number 7, life is heaven when you're true to your mate. Number 8, don't steal and break this rule for goodness sake. Number 9, don't be the kind who goes around telling lies. Number 10, don't covet when you see your neighbor's house or a wife. That's the list, and God insists we stay away from these sins. That is why we memorize commandments 1 through 10.
That was so good. I
That
never
That
heard
was
that.
amazing.
Bravo.
Isn't that
That
horrible?
was so good.
That is awesome. Thank you. That was amazing. You guys, big W's for Grana in the chat
I
and
heard
on
laughing so hard, though I
YouTube.
started to sing.
Okay.
I mean,
That,
just
right there, that little dance was amazing.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was a
great.
great dance, Bert. It added to it for
Thank
sure.
Yeah, so it's
Okay,
interesting.
comment. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
JD.
God is a jealous God, but then love is not jealous in the New Testament.
Yeah.
And he what did your version say? He visits, or this one said, who visits the sins of the fathers upon the children, but then another scripture talks against that.
Yeah. It's a little confusing. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that Yahweh is the God of confusion, but I'm also saying he is. That's what I'm saying. Any other commentary or questions on these first commandments?
Yes, tons. I think it's ironic that in verse 4 you have all these prohibitions against making sculptured images, and then the church has nothing but sculptured images. And I think, like, I don't know how they get around that aside from leaning into the Roman Hellenistic sort of background there. And then
The way Christians get mad at me when I throw that in their face, like they get so angry when I say, well, do you wear a cross? Do you pray before a cross? Do you pray before a statue of Jesus? Like, they get so mad. Get so mad.
And why a cross? Why the most horrible thing that happens in the New Testament to God himself, why do you want to worship that? It makes no, or, make an idol out of that. It makes zero sense. Why not like a lily of the field or something? Like,
Yeah, could
I'll
you
make it
imagine?
work.
Wait, can you imagine if you died in a horrific car accident and so I wore a necklace with a little crashed up car on my
Right.
right.
I don't know if you guys remember in the early 2000s, there was a fad going around where instead of wearing crosses, we wore little nails.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I kind of remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
We had
yeah,
a
the
Christmas
three
tree with
nails.
a nail on it.
actually making the nails that crucified him to the cross, and we were wearing those either along
Yeah.
with our
They even
cross.
wore rings.
Yeah, and they
Rings
had the
and stuff
rings
made out of
and the
nails.
t-shirts. Like it was like, what were we doing?
I wish I could remember the name of the comedian, but a Jewish comedian, and he had this funniest thing he did where he went to this hotel and he goes into the room and he goes downstairs and he's like, "Do you mind taking the emblem of a," what did he say? It was so funny, "of a dying Jew off my wall for me, please."
Sounds
So
like
they had
Lenny
to put
Bruce.
the crucifix down, but I'm like, yeah, hello, people. That's pretty creepy,
Sounds like
I
Lenny
used to wear a
Bruce.
cross and haven't for years, but it was funny. Sorry, what was that?
It sounds like Lenny Bruce or something like that.
It could have been.
Yeah, it
was
does.
so funny.
Lenny Bruce. I love Lenny Bruce.
I think he was older though.
Okay, so I have to say that God is a liar in these verses. I'm just calling him out. I'm sorry, but he is. Not only does he say he will not punish his children to the third, fourth, dinner, or that he will, right? And then later says he won't. But here he says that, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation. You can't tell me that there weren't people back then that did show steadfast love. And so where are these people today that he has blessed through the 1,000th generation?
Well,
That we can see that.
presumably that's the Jewish people today. I mean, like just
But
doing
you
the
guys have
internal thing.
suffered.
Yeah, well, so this is the sick part.
Well, I was gonna say it's Bert.
Well, this is the sick part. So this was like one of the worst days of my life. The day that Donald Trump was elected president the first time in 2016, I was in Jerusalem. I was living in Jerusalem, and we were scheduled to go meet with this group of ultra-Orthodox rabbis. And they proceeded to, meanwhile, I'm a Reformed Jew. I was in a Reformed Jewish seminary. And they proceeded to congratulate us on Trump winning, and then proceeded to blame Reform Judaism for the 1930s Germany war, and that it was our fault, and that that we should not be surprised because we weren't following the commandments, and that it was on us. It was a bad day. A lot of people left in tears, and it was not a good day. So I'll just that's where the theology is in some people, so it's yeah, not great.
I'm sorry, but that is insane.
Well, I just don't think that he has really shown himself to be loving for 1,000 generations. I don't see it. I personally don't see it with all the suffering in the world and for the Jewish people in particular. So I'm just calling him out. If he has a problem with me, he knows where to find me. Okay.
Danny's parking lot, right?
That's where Hana will be.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll be right here. I don't really move much. I'm in my house most of the time. He knows where it is. He knows the address. You guys, if you're watching this, I'm just kidding. I didn't suddenly become a believer, okay? Because later people will tell me, see, you said God can find you. That means you believe. When I bring this up to Christians, they say, oh, yeah, but that's the Old Testament. Yeah, but Selena, we just talked about this, okay? God said we have to listen to Moses forever, okay? So it doesn't matter that it's Old Testament, okay? Somebody else had a question in chat that I think that Rabbi or Nick could answer. They want to know, what is Hellenistic? If you can explain that.
Greco-Roman belief systems.
So explain, when is the Hellenistic period and what is Greco-Roman belief systems in a nutshell?
Well, go ahead, Rabbi.
So about 400 BCE, basically from Alexander the Great until, well, frankly, today, I would say, the Catholic period. So the period of Catholicism being the dominant reign. So at least 1500, until the Protestant Reformation. So 400 BCE is about the time of the Greek period of Hellenism. So Hellenism is this idea that ideas are a melting pot, and that colonization can happen through ideas and not necessarily through violence. And so the Greek Hellenism was this way of conquering other peoples by saying, oh, you have these ideas, here's how they're similar to these other ideas, and it's going to be this giant kind of conversation about math and science and religion and kind of this interchange of ideas. Enter the Romans. The Romans become this, they use the Greek system of Hellenism and turn it violent and use it as a tool of oppression. And they pick up on the fact that Christianity has this ability to speak to the masses and quell the masses. And by making Christianity the state religion of the Hellenist Empire, the Roman Hellenist Empire, they're able to use that as one of their military weapons. And that is essentially what Rome did for 1600 years. I mean, that's Hellenism is Greek Hellenism, or sorry, Roman Hellenism is essentially what allowed Catholicism to dominate the globe. Yeah.
Okay, there's a follow-up question. Almost like Reconstruction?
No.
No, not really.
It's more, no, I don't think so. It's more like the marketplace of ideas is kind of the best modern sort of idea that we have about this. But that's like, how like far right people will say the marketplace of ideas is where, where we should go. So like the most popular ideas should be the ones that win. And basically like Twitter has become the quote unquote marketplace of ideas. And I think like Hellenism is similar, but the issue is that you have a centralized powerhouse that is kind of distributing these ideas. And yeah.
Black Critical Think It says religion is weird and Abrahamic faiths are for white team. And, I don't think a lot of people up here is going to disagree with you on that, but, this is a non-believers Bible study, so you're probably in the right place, just so you know. Okay, although I just want you to know, Rabbi here has graciously come to join us, and he is a believer, but in the Old Testament, he's not a Christian. Okay, moving on. You shall not make wrongful use. Oh, wait. We were talking about idols. I wanted to bring up one more thing. I wanted to tell you a story of little Christian Crystal. Okay. Little Christian Crystal was feisty AF. Okay. I know you guys probably can't believe that because I'm so, demure.
Oh, come on. We've seen Dark Crystal. Come on. Who you
You're not
trying
spicy
to
at all. Come on.
So as if we haven't been on Joyful's lives. Come on.
Oh, she's a good woman and just sits there quiet and lets all the misogynists run over her.
That's right.
If you're in chat and have not heard Crystal, I'm not being for real.
I'm a nice lady. It says so in my bio. So I had found out, as a young Christian girl that Jesus says not to build temples, right? Not to big temple. I forget how he puts it. If you guys know the verse, you know what I'm talking about. He says, don't do that, right? And when I was younger, not far from where I lived, they built this very extravagant church called the Crystal Cathedral. I hated that church. I hated everything about that church. Because I found out things, and I was young. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm like maybe 10 when I figure all this out, okay? Maybe 10.
Is that the Crystal Cathedral?
Yeah, the Crystal
Okay.
Cathedral. I grew up in Orange County, California. So the Crystal Cathedral is in Orange County. And I think it was Robert Schuller, I think was the name of the pastor at the
Yes,
time.
that's what I was trying to remember.
And at the time, and this might sound like a lot of money now, but let's remember that Crystal is old. And I'm telling you, I was like 10 at the time. Okay. So this is almost 50 years ago. Okay. They were charging people $1,000 to have a pew named after them. They also had little like tiles that you could buy outside the church with your name on it too. And I forget how much those were and stuff. And I just thought, this is such a den of thieves. I just hated it. I hated everything about it. And it was my mission. Little 10-year-old Crystal was going to bring down the Crystal Cathedral, because to me it was sacrilegious that it was my name on that stupid cathedral. So,
No, sorry, but the Jewish day school, they did bricks. You know, you could put your name on the brick. But it was a school too, so it's a little different. You know, like
Crystal Cathedral might have had a school too, but I don't think it did. I don't remember. Or it may eventually. I don't know. But like what I found out eventually was
yeah.
Robert Schuller and his kids had a big, huge compound. Like this was like the first mega church I had ever heard of. I don't know if there was a mega church before this or whatever, but to me, this was the first mega church, and I just found it disgusting. I hated it.
A lot of smaller churches and synagogues and stuff do stuff like that, but the money literally goes to the building. It doesn't go to the rabbi or the pastor or anything. It goes towards the building.
But Jesus said, don't have those buildings. That was
But you
my
need
point.
a building. You just don't need a
You
fancy
don't need
building.
to. You don't
Need a fancy building.
You don't need that big of a building. You
No,
could
no,
be
no.
a house. You could have a house.
Exactly.
Jesus
You just
taught
need
in
a.
the open air.
you know.
He never taught in a building.
Yeah,
Except
go outside and
Toppling
talk.
tables and whipping people.
Go meet in a park. Go meet in public.
You don't live in
You
the
don't-
Pacific Northwest, do you?
I love the Pacific Northwest. I
know,
would
but it's
meet
raining a
you.
lot. We need buildings here.
But I found it just disgusting. I really did. And I hated it, and I was going to bring it down. As you notice, I did not bring it down. Spoiler alert, it is still a church. They did other things eventually too that really made me hate them too. As a young Christian growing up in Southern California, I went to West Anaheim United Methodist Church in Southern California, and every year, one year randomly, we started doing this thing, and I don't know who thought of it or how it started. And you probably have seen some now, but I'm not kidding you. This church was one of the first, okay? We did what was called the Bethlehem Walk, and it was a live nativity event. I wouldn't even call it a scene. It was a live nativity event. And what you would do was you would come, and then because, when Jesus supposedly was born, they were going back to Bethlehem for a census. So there was a big scroll that you would sign that you had come for the census. There were centurions walking around. My father was a centurion. And then there was a building that you would walk through, and we had different booths that represented what it would be like in a market at the time. So we had a pottery booth, a basket weaving booth, and we all dressed just like they would, back then. And we all used real, pottery wheel that you had to use with your foot. We used the actual type of things that they would use to make the baskets. We learned how to weave. We had lentil soup in this one little camp where you could go to get soup from. And we had camels, we had a donkey, we had Mary ride in on the donkey, we had sheep, we had it all. It was
Renaissance fair.
it was Renaissance Fair, but it was the Bethlehem Walk, right? And the first year we did it was pretty successful, but eventually we would have thousands of people come for the weekends of the Bethlehem Walk from all over, and it got on the news, and it became very, very big thing in the area. So the Crystal Cathedral decided that they would do a live nativity event at their church. But it was more like, do you guys watch the Righteous Gemstones? Nobody watches the Righteous Gemstones?
So good. It's so good. Sorry, I couldn't
Oh,
unmute.
thank you.
I couldn't
Thank
unmute
you,
fast enough.
Bert.
So funny.
I was like, you guys have to watch the right DC. You have to watch. Is DC still here? You guys have to watch this show. You will love
It's
it.
so
You
good.
guys will love this show. Okay, I promise you.
Crystal,
It's so funny.
what was the name again? I was having trouble hearing it for some reason.
The Righteous Gemstones.
With Danny
Gemstones.
McBride.
Thank you.
Danny
And,
McBride and
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Anyway,
what's that music? That music movie, like the acapella movie.
yeah.
He's in.
I can't.
What's that? That show, Workaholics.
Jen, you did that at your church too? Yeah, so when they do a big production in their main church, it was more like that instead of a walk-through event and stuff like we did. But what they found, John Goodman is in it. Yes, John Goodman is in it. What they did was they found out that the animals that we rented for our Bethlehem Walk were really the only ones like around in the area where you could get a camel and a donkey and sheep and stuff like this. So they started paying more money to rent them out so we couldn't have them because they're just bullies, you know? And it was like, oh, you're doing something and people are giving you your little church attention. Well, we don't like that. So eventually it became too hard to compete with them, and we no longer could do the Bethlehem Walk because they just took over. They took all our animals and then took all our audience, so we couldn't do it anymore. I think they eventually tried doing it again. I don't think they do it anymore though. I think the Crystal Cathedral does though. I think they still do their show, but the little church that I went to did not. All right,
Isn't that
where are we at?
biblical?
I lost my place.
Isn't that biblical? Thou shalt ist competeth with thy friends and make sure that they're.
Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's donkey, right?
Oh, they coveted your donkey, man.
Okay. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Now, I really want Bert to talk on this one because I think that Christians sometimes have this wrong. What
They
is
100%
it
have
really
this
telling us?
wrong. This is where people say, "Thou shalt not lie." This is the commandment, "Thou shalt not lie," which doesn't say, "Thou shalt not lie." It says, "Thou shalt not take a false testimony or swear."
Wait, no.
false
We're
vow.
talking about
That's-
God's name. Is that the same?
Yeah. Well, so it still applies here. Both
Okay.
of those ideas, because swearing or taking Adonai's name in vain or something like that is about making an oath. So like, it's not about saying a curse word, you know.
It's not
about,
like saying, "Oh my
saying,
God," like that's not.
Yeah, it's
using
not
his
about
name in
that.
vain.
It's but it is about like, I swear to God, like, I clean my room. I swear to God, like that is a
Oh.
problem. That's a problem. But what's fascinating like, sometimes I like hesitate whether to say things because like I just don't know how people are going to take Jewish culture. But there's a holiday called Yom Kippur, and it's a biblical holiday. It's the Day of Atonement, and idea is that you're atoning for all of your transgressions over the past year. And the opening ceremony of Yom Kippur is this legalistic text that is read 3 times, called Kol Nidre, which means all vows. And the idea is, well, the statement is that all vows that I have made last year and all vows that I will make this next year will be null and void. In other words, everything I say, every swear I make, will be null and void from this past year, and the ones that I'll make next year will be null and void.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like all the promises that I make to God are not promises, and the vows I make are not vows. And
I'm just lying through
it's
my
like,
teeth.
Wait,
Wow,
is
that's
that
wild.
well, it's not. That's why I was worried about like the way that it's perceived. It's more about like we shouldn't be making vows in the first place. Like to make a vow is like a very serious thing in the context of this book. And like making a promise, like you should not make promises because you will not keep them. And I think that that is true of human nature.
I
Like
agree.
people make all kinds of promises that they, have every intention of keeping and then just blow it because we suck and we're disorganized and whatever. I mean, like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, sort of thing. But like, I think this text is to alleviate the guilt of that reality that we with every good intention we have, we make promises that we never keep. And the reality is, like, this text was given at a time when you didn't know if you were going to make it to the next Yom Kippur. And so if you made it to this one, just give yourself a little bit of grace, I guess, is the Christian way of saying it, or something like that.
Yeah, so
Which is not to say that swearing against God is the vow, and we shouldn't do that in the first place. We shouldn't make promises. That's really the lesson.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I wanted to know. JD, I'm sorry, what did you want to say?
No, I was going to say, my Tanakh does have commentary on that verse if you want me to read it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
says, just as it is forbidden to show contempt for God by making an idol, so it is forbidden to disgrace his name by using it for no valid purpose.
So saying I swear to God, knowing
Yeah,
that you're
for
not going to
it
do
not
what you're
not
going to
meaning
do.
it. Yep.
I did raise my children, and I told them, look, I am never going to promise you anything because I can't, because I'm not in control of everything. And promises are broken all the time unintentionally. And so I did tell them, like, I'm not going to ever promise you anything. Now, I'm not saying that I've never said the words, no, I promise I'll do that. But I think that they realize, hey, Grana, thanks for coming up and thanks for the song. I think that I just wanted them to realize that I can't promise them things. I can't actually unequivocally say I'll do something and then for sure do it, because I don't control the weather. I don't control my health. I don't control other people. And because of that, there are things that might happen that make it so that I can't do the thing that they want me to do. You know what I mean? So I don't like promises. Promises are empty to me. You can tell me you're going to do something and then try to do it at the best of your ability, but things happen. You can't always follow through. It's just like I don't always follow through on Wednesday Bible study. Okay.
Well, the other
All
side
right.
of that is expectations, by the way, right? Like we can't have expectations either. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. I think it's weird that Christians changed the Sabbath day to Sunday. I always found that weird because
It's the weirdest.
that's not what God said.
It's honestly the weirdest thing in the world to me, especially since every calendar says Sunday is the first day.
Yep. And I thought this was weird as a little. See, I think that I really believe that my whole life of indoctrination, I have been deconstructing because I always questioned this. I always wanted to know, why are we not D-Strong? Don't come in here and spam my chat again. You did that yesterday or the day before. Don't spam my chat. I don't
Yeah,
care
it was
about.
yesterday. I had
Yeah.
to mute him yesterday too, so I just muted him
Now,
for
I'm
the
not
live.
gonna. Thank you. We're not gonna block you, but going into atheist live, non-believers lives, and spamming them is never going to bring somebody to Jesus. Okay, what it does is actually make us feel some animosity towards you and towards your brethren, because you're pushing yourself on us. It's okay. I understand you love Jesus. Good. That's good. I did too at one time, but there's nobody's going to suddenly bow down to Jesus because you spam a chat. Okay. That's not going to work. It's not going to help anybody. It's
So-
actually doing
We're
the
not?
opposite.
We're not?
Bert, did you bow down just now?
I oh,
The whole reason why they separated their Sabbath was to separate themselves from the Jews, because they actually had a very low opinion of the Jews. That's why they separated the Sabbaths. It was basically a fuck you.
But in
And,
doing
yes,
so, they
and-
said, fuck God.
Yeah, literally.
well, because they got a new God, which was this Hellenist Jesus that rose on Sunday, right? Like that was the other
Yep.
piece of it, right? Like yes, separation, but also Sunday is this important day for Jesus. How does
But
how
the
does
thing-
Cyber say it? I love the way that Cyber says Jesus.
Jesus. I don't know. I can't do a cyber. But
Sorry, not Cyber. Joyful. Joyful says it in like the best way.
Oh, I can't do it very well. Joyful either. I don't do joyful very well either. But yeah, he does say Jesus.
Thy word is truth. Jesus, 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 fucking Christ, fuck Christ, Jesus, fucking Christ. Oh no, what are you gonna do? Blocked. Oh, what are you gonna do? Blocked.
The other
Sorry,
thing
y'all.
is that Jesus
crazy.
celebrated.
This-
celebrated the Sabbath day on the Sabbath.
Yeah, that's what I don't. That's why I've never understood the changing of that. And then when I brought it up,
This
I was at a small church at one point, and this always stuck with me. So I was like, the Sabbath is Saturday. Why don't we do service on Saturday? And they're like, well, God made Sabbath for man, not man for the Sabbath. We're keeping it on Sunday. Like, what?
No.
what a weird interpretation.
Well, and I
Um,
think how they get away
also-
with you. Oh, sorry, Rabbi.
Well, I just gonna say the tone policing about like watch the language is precisely the misinterpretation that we were talking about of the precise commandment that we were just studying. So
Yeah,
what a lovely
exactly.
meta commentary on how this verse is misunderstood.
All right.
I was just gonna say, I think another whole reason for quotation mark the Sabbath being changed to Sunday, especially with modern Christians, is because it's technically not the Sabbath. They get away with the whole not working on Sabbath day because how many Christians work on a Sunday? Honestly, I think it's part of their hypocrisy. It's something I noticed, especially when I was a church person.
Yeah, I've got a
Yeah, but the
very
same
interesting commentary here. If you want me to read it.
Okay. Yeah.
It says the commandment for the Sabbath includes not only deed but attitude. For when the Sabbath arrives, one should feel that all his work is finished, even though his desk or workbench is still piled high. 6 days you shall work and accomplish all your work means that no matter what is still left to be done, one should feel as much at ease as if everything is finished. And that's from Rashi. I don't know if I said that right. Rashi.
Oh yeah, Rashi.
Very.
Yeah, Rashi. Rashi's the man. I think, like, first of all, there's 39 different types of work that are prohibited on the Sabbath, on Shabbat. I think the main key is exactly as you said, the restfulness feeling that you're completed in all your things, and that, you know, look, that's to me the message of the opening chapter of the entire Bible, that if God, everybody else, including the land, need rest.
Nick, we have a request from YouTube. They would like you to yell Wilson like Tom Hanks did in Castaway. Could you please do that first?
I don't
Me?
know who you are, but I will
No,
find.
Bert, Nick or Bert. I don't think it matters. They just want somebody to yell.
I have a very specific set of skills. I will find you. Wilson!
Okay.
People often say that I sound like Tom Hanks. That's why.
A little bit.
Yeah, I can hear that, yeah.
That's why.
I can hear it.
Okay. So Logan still
No,
wanted
Woody,
Bert to
Buzz,
do it.
Buzz. Come on, Buzz.
Oh my God. Yes, that is spot on.
Oh my gosh, I
That
can't
is-
undo it now. I can't undo
If
it
the
now.
boot fits.
That is a. You know,
Somebody
Bert,
poisoned the watering hole.
if nothing could have endeared me to you more than that now.
Oh.
Okay. So, let's see. Therefore, the Lord blesses our blah blah blah. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Another verse that's just a goddamn lie, okay? Because how many kids have honored their mother and father and then had a short life? It doesn't guarantee you a long life because you honor your mother and father. Also, do I have to honor them if they're abusive assholes?
So,
Because
just a couple.
Christians think you
sorry.
do. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just a couple comments. One, that it's not specific to you honoring your specific parents. It is the general to the general. It is not you shall. It is you all shall. And a couple things. One, there's commentary, and you might have that there, Deacon, saying that to honor one's mother and father is to wait, does it say honor your father and mother? It says honor your father and mother, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So one commentary says this is by not being an alcoholic. This is done by not being alcoholic.
Why is the
in other words-
alcoholic thing really important to, like, because they'll say, you know, stuff about your child if he's drunk and blah, blah, blah. Why is that so
Reputation is the issue, because if somebody is dependent on the state as a result of their own action, i.e. alcoholism, there is this disdain for what is caused by the reputation. I think we've come a long way in our understanding of alcoholism as an illness that moves us away from this idea, but that was one of the commentaries. The other thing is what Christians, I think, always fail to do is compare and contrast the two sets of 10 commandments, the Exodus 10 commandments and the Deuteronomy 10 commandments. And if you look at the Deuteronomy commandments, it is not honor your father and mother, it is fear your mother and father. You shall fear your mother and father. And so the rabbis pick up on this contrast, and they say honor your father and mother because one inherently honors their mother. This is the rabbi speaking, not me. One inherently honors their mother, so that they should remind themselves. Father, and then one inherently fears their father, so they should remind themselves to fear their mother as well.
Also, I have a question. And this is not a joke either, because I know this happens in many countries. It's quite different on the customs when it comes to partaking in alcohol. Did children drink alcohol in ancient, uh, ancient Israel time? With the ancient Hebrews, were they drinking alcohol? Little children, like young children? Okay, that's okay. I'll wait for you guys, while we're waiting for Bert to come back from his phone call. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get me to 10,000 likes. We are very close. Also, don't forget, I have the little heart puff things for my gift goal. I'm trying to get to 666 today. And so if you could send me some, that would be great. They are 1 coin each. Also, please gift my amazing panel here, because they make doing Bible study worthwhile. Otherwise, I probably just wouldn't do it. To be honest with you. Also, thank you everybody for on YouTube for joining. I look over here because I'm reading the chat over here until my iPad dies, and then I won't be able to read the chat over here. Jen, Lord, Woken, Burns. I don't know if I got everybody. Marduk. Thank you so much for joining me over there. I hope you guys are subscribed. Also, if you can share, I don't know, can you share my YouTube live? I don't know. Do all the good things on
Share the
YouTube
link
too.
out.
Okay, so do all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And anybody else have commentary or questions so far on drunkenness and mom and dad and respect? Oh, okay. Bert's back. Wait, Bert, did you? Thank you for the heart me's. Bert, did kids and young children drink?
Well, I mean, what's a young child in the Bible? I don't know. I think that probably that most people drank, at least ritually, and I imagine that water was likely a low-grade wine. I think the issue, like a child of a parent is still a child, no matter how old they are. So
I agree with you there. Just Christians like to point out that when they say stuff about like later on, when it will be like if your child is a drunk, unalive them or whatever, they're going to say, yeah, because they were adults, which to me doesn't matter, because I have 3 adult children and I cannot imagine ever I can't imagine ever throwing them off a cliff, now that I know that's what that is. Can you imagine throwing your child off a cliff? Like what? Anyway,
There's no way.
so
No way at all.
they always try to
Yeah, that's
bring
what
it
I'm
up. And so I
There's
started
no
thinking
way.
about it, because in other countries, drinking is something you do from almost, from a very young age, like 3 or 4. Like my son used to get wine at Christmas since the time he was about 5 years old, because his father, thank you, he grew up in Mexico, and that was very common. It was just very normal thing. So his father wanted him to have wine at the Christmas dinner too. It was like a little teeny tiny thing, because I did not like it. His father was also an alcoholic, so.
Well, my Irish family used to give me a teeny tiny bit when I was a kid too. It was just a thing.
Yeah, it was just a thing. So I'm just thinking that maybe there were little drunk kids, that had. I'm sorry, but you see little kids in other countries that smoke. You see little kids in other countries that literally partake in 420 and stuff. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So it was
It
just something I
wouldn't
was
be-
wondering.
It wouldn't be outside of the norm, honestly.
And then to hear honor them, bring their honor or respect to them. I don't know, like I'll ask him as soon as he comes back, okay? And also to hear, am I saying your name right? Because it got to me yesterday. Like, I think I heard you pronounce it different. And now
Hi here.
I don't know if is it
Tahir?
Tahir? Okay, it's not Tahir, it's Tahir. Okay, I apologize, Tahir.
Am I right? Tahir?
Yeah, but Noah wasn't drunk and he was a righteous man. That's true. That's a comment from YouTube. God really is wishy-washy. You are right, Jen. All right. Well, we may never know. We may never know these answers. Hey.
So Crystal, the way I remembered Tahir's name is she said Ty here, Ty there, Ty everywhere.
Okay. I will
love that.
remember that.
Tie here, tie there, tie everywhere. I love it. Oh.
All right. Well, we're going to move on. I don't think my drunken kids question is that important. This is not that important. Little drunk babies is not the most important thing in the world. Okay. You shall not murder. Okay. And then I have a little footnote that says or skill. You know what word I'm saying. You shall not commit adultery. Unless
Why
you're a
not?
man. Then you can go right ahead. If you're a man, you can do it.
Yeah, you just have to be like, yeah, this is my new wife. Here we go.
Tahir says her name is Arabic and it means innocent and it's a crime. But crystal also means pure in many places, and that's not true either. So, you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Okay, that one I really like to point out because Christians will say it's in the 10 Commandments. You cannot lie, but that's not what it says.
Not
It
what it
doesn't
says,
say you shall not
nor is it
lie.
what it means. There's only one
Okay.
comment on lying, which is you shall distance yourself from dishonesty, which isn't you shall not lie, you shall distance yourself from dishonesty. In other words, there's going to be times when you need to lie. You got to do it. It happens. People be
Yeah.
lying.
And God lies and he sends deceiving spirits. He
Just
sends
try
them.
not to. You know?
Yeah. Just don't be a freaking liar all the time. God, you guys, quit all your lying. Like, don't be naming yourself Tahir if you're not innocent, okay?
Commentary here says, in addition to its literal meaning, this passage prohibits gossip and slander, and that's from
Yeah.
I can't pronounce it. Smorno.
I think
Sforno.
it's Justin.
Sforno, yeah.
Oh no, it's Bash who always points out that libel and slander, like those things are against the law, okay? But lying is not. And that's even in modern times, and that's the difference, you know. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Now, twice now, we've noticed that in the 10 Commandments, it mentions slaves. So this is another point that I recently saw Mac Luster bring up over in alive, and I was like, that is such a good point. When they say that God does not condone slavery, it's in your 10 Commandments. It's in your 10 Commandments, Christians. God did condone it. He even told you don't covet them. And he told you also that they shouldn't work on the Sabbath.
Is there any comment there, Deacon? Because like the issue that I have with this slave thing, there's a lot of different words and there's a lot of different ways of understanding this. And I think you all know me well enough that I'm not trying to be an apologist in any way, shape, or form. But the word is very unclear because it's worker.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have any commentary on that. The Tanakh says man, servant, maidservant, but we both know that, or we all know that's the same thing as a slave.
Okay, let me look. Let me see if mine does. 20. The first. Let's see. What verse is the covet one?
14. 14.
Okay. All right. Exodus 20:14. I don't even know how to read this. Oh my goodness. This is a lot of information in here. Okay.
No, 2014 is the adultery.
No, you shall not covet. Some view this as an ethical exhortation to master the kinds of impulses that would lead to violation of the preceding commandments. But the Hebrew verb sometimes refers to having designs on a desired object, perhaps even to scheming or maneuvering to acquire. See especially 34:24. I don't know what that references. Hence, the sense could be, do not scheme to acquire your neighbor's house. That is household, which the second clause explicates as it's really weird, right? As consisting of wife, servants, and livestock. In Deuteronomy 5:18, which places the wife in the first clause and house, field, servants, and cattle in the second house, means dwelling. The wording in Exodus reflects conditions when the Israelites lived as nomadic herders without real estate. Deuteronomy refers to the kind of property people will own after settlement in Canaan. It doesn't say anything. It just says servants. It doesn't really, separate out whether that's a slave to be passed down or what have you. So it didn't really help.
Yeah, mine says nothing about the slaves/servants. It just says covet to the point of theft. Household, including wife.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
PW is reading out of the Oxford, so I won't grab that one. But
Oh, I do have the Oxford Study Bible Companion here. You want me to look in there? Look at me. Look at
I'm
me
reading
with
out
all
of the
this
Stone
information.
edition of the Tanakh.
oh,
okay.
okay. I wasn't. I'll check the new Oxford then to see what that one says.
Let me see if I can find it in here. I've never used this thing. Do you guys hate it that I'm licking my finger and turning my pages?
I also do that. Don't worry.
I don't know. How do I find a particular verse in this thing? I don't know how to do this. This is all alphabetical. This isn't going to help me at all. Now I have to learn a whole new thing.
8, 14, 15, 16. Considered two separate precepts and four traditions. This one addresses the male head of household, forbidding the mental process of coveting the cause of transgressions of adultery and theft is unusual, but the intense emotional state of it here implies the result that the state, as well as the state itself. Covet appears twice in succession, first before the general category health, second before enumeration of some households component. Well, that was no help. Thanks, Oxford.
Let me. Okay. I think I might have found something. Slavery. Let's see. What verse are we looking at? 2014, did you
14.
say? No.
Yeah.
No, 14 is you shall not commit adultery.
17. 17.
17. Okay, 17. Let me see if I can find it. 20.
Oh, yeah, it's different in mine.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay. All right. I'm going to just read this little thing on slavery real quick. The socioeconomic institution of slavery was present in both Israel and early Christianity. Slavery among the Israelites shared many of the features present in other ancient Near Eastern cultures, just as slavery among Christians was similar to the practices prevailing the Roman Empire. Throughout the Bible, however, distinctive humanitarian impulses regulate the treatment of slaves. Exodus 21, 1 through 11, Leviticus 25, 39 through 55, and Deuteronomy 15, 12 through 18 define the status and regulate the treatment of slaves. Each text is literally framed by Israel's moral obligations to God's order for their lives. Exodus 21 by the Ten Commandments 21 through 17, which put the covenant code laws. Chapters 21 through 23 under sole allegiance to Yahweh. Note that the rights of the slaves release are guaranteed as the code's first stipulation. Leviticus 25 and Deuteronomy 15 by Sabbath and Sabbatical regulations, which include the obligation to treat the poor generously rather than viewing slavery as divinely sanctioned institution. As pro-slavery writers argued over a century ago, the biblical text accent how God's commands protect slaves from cruel and capricious treatment. I don't agree with you, Oxford.
No,
I
it
don't
sounds
agree
like a
with
lot
you.
of it sounds like a lot of
Sounds
apologetics.
like apologetics. This sounds like apologetics to me. But it didn't answer my question either. It does not define, and that's the thing. Like, we're just, they don't want to give you a clear. They don't want to say.
Yeah, it's
Question
almost like
context is listing property where workers considered property. That's a good point. Very good point, Cyber. I agree with you. Were workers passed down from generation to generation? I don't think they were. Okay, let's move on. All right. When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, I forgot we were dealing with thunder and lightning and smoke and mirrors and stuff. I forgot all that. The wizard. Okay. When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the sound of the trumpet and the mountain smoking, they were afraid. And I have a little footnote. It says, I don't even know what it says. This is what it says. I'm gonna tell you what my footnote says. It says 2018, Sam, capital G, small k, then capital S, small y, small r, then capital V, and then small g. I don't know what that freaking means. What does any of that mean? I feel stupid right now. Sam Greek Sirvich. I don't know what that means, so I'm moving on.
I'm totally lost.
Yeah, I have freaking no idea what that means.
What verse is this?
This is 2018.
18. Okay.
But you were
My
reading the
footnote is
commentary on the footnote.
Yeah, I
on it,
was
right?
reading a little footnote on it, and I don't know what that footnote means. And trembled and stood at a distance and said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, or we will die." Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid, for God has come only to test you and to put the fear of him upon you so that you do not sin." Then the people stood at a distance while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was.
Again with God testing.
I know, he loves to test.
Here it says, "Do not fear, for in order to evaluate you, God has come."
Interesting.
But if he's all knowing, he doesn't need to evaluate anything.
If you don't have time for arguments, his devoted church, then why are you yapping in the comments?
And why do you keep a non-believers Bible study full of
Unashamed, thank you
pagans
for
and
the
heathens
subscription.
and others?
I have time to yap, but I don't have time for arguments. That's wow.
It's wild.
But we do appreciate you helping push it out in the algorithm.
And I do want to ask, like, how does it feel to be surrounded by, like, heathens and pagans? Is it comfortable?
Wait, his devoted church, we are literally reading the entire Bible right now. That is what we do on Wednesdays. So don't tell me we're cherry picking, you moron. We're reading the whole Bible together.
And also, we just literally had a rabbi up here explaining us things in the Jewish tradition, which you have no concept of. because you have Christian superiority complex in which you makes you think you know everything when you don't.
Which translation would you like? I
I
have
was
the
about to say,
NRSV UE. I have the Jewish Study Bible. I have the Catholic Living Bible. I have the New King James Version. I have the American Standard Version. Which freaking translation would you like? And no, you're not coming up. This isn't a debate. This is a non-believers Bible study. So you just say shit in chats because you are a hateful person who goes around to non-believers chats and just says hateful things to people. Nobody's coming to Jesus when you guys show up all hateful. If you want people to come to Jesus, come humbly and come with love, because you don't do that.
and
You're
nobody
not
told you to
saving any
join.
souls today.
Nobody told you to join.
You are being hateful.
Oh, I remember you now.
You don't have truth. You just have hate.
So
It's ridiculous.
I hate to tell you this, but did you know that your holy spook actually just means God's nostril breath? And then you took it and created it into something that it wasn't because of this Trinitarian Babel bullshit. All right. So no, you don't need the holy spook to read the Bible. What you need to know is the historicity of it, the cultural society of back then. You need to know about other surrounding religions and how that had an impact on things. So I mean, you want to come up here and pretend, or come on here and pretend that you know shit about shit. Well, sorry, but you don't know shit.
I don't
Listen,
understand
if you
why
do,
he's
if you
getting
do
so
want
upset.
to,
Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead,
I was,
JD.
gonna, I, was, I was gonna say he's getting upset. All we're doing is reading the Bible. That's all we're
I know
doing.
he's getting so upset, and then he's accusing us of cherry picking when we're literally reading through the entire Bible. How is that cherry
Every
picking when we're
every verse
literally
in
reading through
several different translations.
And Jesus
several different translations?
nothing to do with the Old Testament, buddy. So stop yapping about your false prophet. Like,
But here's
Yeah.
what I do want to say to him, okay?
Worshipping
His
false
devoted
idols.
church, if you can hear me for a second, listen. There is a person on this app named Joyful_apostate. Go follow him. He'll be live tomorrow night. I'll be with him, and we can debate then, okay? If you want to debate your precious little Jesus, debate on a debate live, not on a Bible study live, pumpkin. Okay, now I'm going to get back to the Bible study. You listen, you might learn something. Okay, all right. Yeah, you know what? My noggin warns me about people like you.
yeah, well, the Old Testament warns me about Christians. So,
That's true. That's so true. Oh my god.
And
Okay.
have a little respect for the Word of God. Okay, we're trying to read it, and you're interrupting us.
Yeah,
yes.
you're interrupting your precious word of God. For those who have ears, let them hear. Okay. Is there anything else? I'm sorry, Dagda. I feel like I interrupted you while I was yelling at him. Did you have something you wanted to say, Dagda?
No, I was gonna chime in, but you know what? A child that age isn't even really worth my time.
Oh, that's a good point. His devoted church, Cyber Deconstruction, is in chat right now. Why don't you give him a follow? He'd love to debate you tonight. He said, come on his show. He's ready for you.
But his
All right.
devoted church, hold on, the Holy Spirit speaking to me. This is the devil inside of you disrupting the Word of God that we're trying to read. You need to go pray and cast out that devil, then come up and join us.
Yep.
Because Cyber's not on my show right now. He's devoted. What is wrong with you? And I'm doing a Bible study. I'm not debating right now. There is a time
How
and a place.
many
Have you not
times?
read? Have you not read there is a season for everything? There is a time for peace and a time for war. You have not read your Bible, have you? Okay. The Lord said to Moses, thus you shall say to the Israelites, you have seen for yourselves that I spoke with you from heaven. You shall not make gods of silver alongside me, nor shall you make for yourselves gods of gold. You need make for me only an altar of earth and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your offering of well-being, your sheep and your oxen in every place where I cause my name to be remembered. I will come to you and bless you. But if you make for me an altar of stone, do not build it of hewn stones. For if you use a chisel upon it, you profane it. You shall not go up by steps to my altar so that your nakedness may not be exposed on it. Okay, this is where I really wish, is Rabbi Hannah still in chat? Because I saw her pop in here. I have questions about this. Like, what about the hewn stones and what about the chisel? Like, I want to know more about those. Is there any commentary on that, JD?
Hang on just a second. Let me look.
Okay. I'm trying to put this up.
All right. So on commentary on 22 through 23, the last two verses of the Sidra contain a profound lesson in sensitivity. The altar and the steps are inanimate objects. They should not be conscious of the pounding of iron or the exposed anatomy of the Kohanim. If the Torah commands us to refrain from shaming objects, surely a person should be eternally vigilant, never to cause shame or embarrassment on living, breathing human beings. And that's from Rashi. Or Rashi.
I guess I don't understand what the. I wonder if I can look something
Yeah, I'm
up
not.
here.
Yeah, I'm not understanding it either.
Let me see. It is.
While she's looking that up, his devoted church, if you make one more threat, you're muted. You're gone. I'll literally just like block you at that point. We don't do fear mongering or gaslighting here. You want to do that, go pick on, I don't know, other evangelistic Christians, but we don't allow that bullshit here. Final warning.
He's saying we're going to hell or something? I wasn't paying attention.
No, he said he's here to give us warnings.
Oh, the warnings.
Yeah.
I think he
You
did
don't have
listen
to
to
block
God.
him, but
'cause-
you could mute him for the life. I don't care, but you don't need to block him. But if you make for me an altar stone 25 through, is it 26?
I'm bleeding. What the hell?
Okay,
Yeah, I
let's
wish
see
we had
if
a
I can
rabbi
find
up here.
something.
The commentary is really confusing on it.
Okay,
You
bye.
don't need to announce your departure because this is not an airport, so you could just leave. Okay, so I asked for rabbinic commentary on it. Okay, Rashi says on verse 25, and that's the one that you read earlier, and that Rabbi Bert said was really good. Rashi explains that using hewn stones shaped with tools is forbidden because iron, which is what you were just talking about, which is used to cut stone, is associated with violence and war. Since the altar is meant to promote peace between God and Israel, it must not be made with something that symbolizes destruction. On verse 26, Rashi notes that the concern about steps is related to modesty in ancient times. Priests wore long robes, and stepping up could expose parts of their bodies. Instead, a ramp was used to maintain their dignity. So they were going commando, and then when
Yes,
they
sir.
would walk up those steps, sometimes their junk would flop out, and other guys would get excited about that. Because remember, there's no women,
Yeah, there's no women around there.
so you don't want to excite your fellow men.
That was a much better commentary than one I had. I could actually understand that one.
There's more. I actually got another. I'm Rabban. Okay, I'm not going to read this name. Nachmanides. Okay, Nachmanides, I don't know. Rabban agrees with Rashi about the prohibition of iron tools on the altar, adding that the altar represents divine service, which should not be tainted by instruments of war. He also suggests that stones shaped by human tools symbolize human pride, whereas unhewn stones emphasize divine creation. That kind of makes sense. So if you have carved it and stuff, then you've taken away from the actual creation that God did. You guys, we're on a subway right now. If I can get 3 more subbies before I end my live, I don't have a gift for you or anything, but that would be cool. Hey, Fox, how are you? Any questions or commentary on anything that we read today? Anything I can look up? Now, you guys are quiet today. Any commentary on anything about anything?
I like when Christians tell me that they follow the 10 Commandments, and then I open up the 10 Commandments and tell them how they don't follow a single fucking one of them. The entirety of the worship of Jesus breaks commandment laws. The fact that they don't do the Sabbath on Saturday breaks the commandment laws. The fact that, you know, I see a lot of them covet a lot of shit. I mean, I see jealousy in the church all the time. Like, that's one thing I love doing, is opening up the 10 Commandments and being like, you failed every one of these.
You know, I'll tell you a little church story from back in the day when I was a little churchgoer. So, you know, you learn a lot in prayer groups. You learn a lot of gossip in prayer groups. Hi, leaving the fold. Don't forget to check your Discord, because I need to know what time you want to get together. Anyway, back in the day, I went to a church in Derby, Kansas, a little town in Derby, Kansas, and we would go to this church camp every year called Camp Quaker Haven, okay, because I was a Quaker. And when we would go, Doug and I would go. We would take our kids. We were very involved. I often helped plan things. We often we were videographers at the time, professional videographers. So we had a lot of equipment. We would do these videos at the end that, like kind of like a wedding video, but about the camp. And make DVDs for everybody and stuff like that. And there was a big slide, an outdoor slide that went down the hill. And Doug was over there helping kids get on the slide with they put burlap sacks down on the slide, got on the burlap sack and slid down the slide. And he was helping kids and making sure everybody was safe and didn't fly off the slide. It was like a really long slide, and it was like 3 slides wide or whatever. So it was almost like an amusement park slide. You know what I'm talking about? So he was just, staying with the kids, everybody's kids, not just our kids. Like, he was watching all the kids and helping them go down the slide and stuff. And this woman named Lori comes over, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're like such a good father," and and everything. And I knew what's up. I'm a woman. I know what a woman's doing. Lots of women really, really get turned on by father figures. And I was like, okay, whatever, I also knew that she cheated on her husband and that he cheated on her, and that it was just something they did, because I had been in the prayer circles and she had prayed about that and she had shared with us about that. So I knew that there were marital issues in her in her life, So I was later I told Doug, hey, just so you know, Lori really likes you. So I'm not saying don't talk to her and stuff, but I don't really want you alone with her. I don't want because I feel like she's trying to do something to make me jealous. You know what I'm saying? Like she's doing things in front of me on purpose, and I just don't like it, you know? And I know how women are, so one thing you want to do is not be left alone with them so they can't say something later happened that didn't happen or whatever, cause trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, another time she said something about my hair, because my hair used to be very blonde. You can see a little remnants of my blondness here, but it used to be very blonde. You can tell my hair is blonde. Look at my, I don't even have eyebrows, people. My hair is blonde. And she said something to me like, maybe Doug would prefer a real blonde. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say to me, because I am a real blonde, but okay, whatever. And then one day, so she had a lot of children and grandchildren that she took care of, and her husband was a truck driver. So he was gone a great deal of the time, and she was having problems, I think, with a toilet or something at her house. And I volunteered Doug. I was like, honey, do you think you could go over to Lori's house and fix the toilet after church today? Because, you know, like, her husband is out of town and she's got all those kids and the grandkids. She's not going to be able to afford a plumber to come over on a Sunday, and, you know, they need help. And he was like, yeah, I could do that, babe. I'll take care of that for you. And so he went over and told Lori, like, hey, if you want, I can come over, fix your toilet after church today. And she was like, oh, that would be great. Crystal, Doug's coming over to my house after church today. And she said that like really loud in the sanctuary of the church. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I know he's coming over. Do you know who volunteered him? Me. I'm the one who asked him to go to your stupid house. But I was like, I can't. So, yeah, there were a couple of times where she tried to get alone with him, tried to get up on him, tried to get with him or whatever. And finally, I was just like, I'm done with it. I'm just going to tell her, like, you know, I've been very kind. I've been very patient. And I trust Doug implicitly, by the way. So could you stop whatever this weird shit is you're doing? But yeah, I thought I was going to have to do like a little cat fight in the sanctuary or something, because I was like, what are you doing? I don't know. Women are weird, and they do covet your husbands, especially if they're good fathers and they take care of business. Her husband was not a good father, did not take care of business, and she coveted mine because he did.
You know, we should have a live sometime that's specifically dedicated to church tea hour, where we spill all the beans on the grotesque people we went to church with, because I've got so many fucking stories. Like, when I say Christians are hypocrites, my gods, like, we need to do this for a live at some point.
That would be so
Yes,
fun.
that would be great. Cyber, she did not get slapped with a Bible, but if she'd have kept that shit up, she would have got more with a Bible, because you don't disrespect me, especially in church. What is wrong with you? You're in the middle of the church trying to make everybody think that my husband's coming over to do something, you know, naughty with you, and you know that that's not true. So what on earth? Why are you doing that? And thank you. My glasses are just from Amazon. It's from a 5-pack. I can put a link in my Discord channel if you want. They're very inexpensive, but I lose reading glasses all the time. And so I bought like a 5-pack of these with the different color frames. And so far, I've never lost these yet. So it's kind of funny after I buy a 5-pack that I don't lose my glasses. Anyway, you guys, I think we're going to end it here today. And we'll pick up on 21 next Wednesday. I will be live tomorrow night with Joyful as usual for our debates. I am trying to be a calmer person, you guys, and it's not working.
No, don't. We love
why
Spicy
can't I-
Crystal and Joyful.
I just want to be more like Christina Carroll and Rhea. Well, Rhea gets spicy. I want to be more like Joel and Mezzo and just chill and well, Joel gets spicy.
No, Crystal, you be you.
Let's
I
face
feel
it, we're
like
a
sometimes
spicy community. Like there's no dodging
I
it,
want
Crystal.
because I actually like sometimes I okay. Who was up on somebody was up on someone's live the other night, and when they first started you know when the debates were happening on Coco's live, Russell was up, okay? And
Yeah.
when he first started, I could just hear how young he was and how determined he was and how he was really trying to learn, maybe not about his God, but he was trying to learn debate and he was trying to learn you know, philosophy and stuff like that. And I could hear it in his voice. And I was like, I was so young once and I thought I knew everything too. And I was so assured of myself like that. And maybe I should have more compassion for these Christians who come up. And then he just said the shittiest things. And right away, my brain, oh yeah, that's why I'm not more compassionate.
That's why I said to you in comments, I want to feel sorry for him, but I just can't. Like the part where he got to where he's like, "Oh, I already told you that in my intro," and refused to like
Right.
actually discuss it. It's like, do you know what the debate is? No, you got to go into elaboration of what you just said. And he's like, "No, you weren't listening. You weren't taking notes. That's your problem." It's like, I can't even feel bad for you. You get everything else.
Exactly. And then he was just like, you weren't listening to me or whatever. And then you realize as he's doing this, you don't remember what you said because it was all written down and you were just reading and it was probably Chat GPT.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's
he
why.
Yeah, he kept saying, "Oh, I have to look it up or bring it up again." It's like, no, you're reading off of it, my bud. I can tell. Like, we're not dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I'm trying very hard to be a more compassionate atheist. But oh wait, Cyber wants up.
I got him up.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
Alexander, good point. Daniel is chill.
Yeah, Daniel's very chill.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, Daniel. Oh my God, he's Zen.
He
Daniel
really
So
is.
is
Zen.
Daniel is Zen. No, the issue with Ross Soul is so he's what's called an open theist, which means that like God knows the ending, but he doesn't know the route to get there, and that's how they explain free will. And then as it happens, he knows. But the problem with Ross Soul is he's one-minded. He's not there to learn. And so as soon as you start throwing any syllogism at him, like he did it to me, he does it to Ian. Anytime you start throwing a syllogism at him, he'll all of a sudden be like, "Oh, that's circular," and you'll be like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Because you're assuming the conclusion." And it's like, yeah, the syllogism is my argument for my conclusion. So he just doesn't understand philosophy. He doesn't understand.
Oh no, he does
no, he
not. He
doesn't.
didn't even understand what was wrong with his syllogism. Coco was trying to tell him, and then I kind of got mad because people were kind of picking on Coco at the end. They were like, I don't know, like they were saying that he kept taking his time back because Russell was purposely being
Yeah,
you know,
obtuse.
evasive,
Yeah,
obtuse and stuff. Yeah. So and then when Russell started doing it, it was like he would ask Coco a question. As Coco tried to respond, he would go, "I reclaim my time." Now you're doing it to mock Coco. And then they were like, "Yeah, you both kept doing that." No. One was using it correctly. One was not.
yeah.
You guys are not paying attention.
Yeah, that
Anyway.
made me mad when the one mod or whatever was bringing that up, and it's like it's because Coco or not Coco, sorry, Russell refused to answer questions, and he was like biding his time, taking time away from Coco. Coco was in every time he said, "I reclaim my time," he was well within his rights because it was very obvious what Russell was doing. And it made me
Yeah.
really, really mad that they called Coco out for that. It's like, no, he was well within his rights. We know what that punk was doing. Like, stop.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Well, in debate, I used to do debate. So the way reclaiming time works is if I ask a yes or no question, that requires just a yes or no. And then if I need an explanation, I will ask for an explanation. However, if I say something that requires an explanation. So if I would say, how do you describe, how do you explain? Well, then I need to give you time to explain it. And during that time, I don't get to reclaim my time unless you're just veering off topic. Then I can stop and say, okay, I'm going to resume my time. You are pivoting, get back on topic. So like this is where like the term pivot and stuff like this come from, is they keep the person on topic. So yeah, Russell just doesn't know debate. I don't know why he comes into spaces. He doesn't know scripture. He's like Darth Dawkins and P. Mars. They don't read the scripture. Russell's never read the scriptures. They just try to run this precept, and it's just horrible. Precept's a horrible argument.
And one of the only
Yeah,
people who voted for his win was J. Rob. That should tell you everything you need to know right there.
Tiny Science accidentally voted for Russell. It was like, oh my God, can I take it back? He was so. That was funny.
Anyways, I'm going to hop back down, but thanks for having me up.
Of course, Cyber. I love
See you,
you.
Cyber.
Have a great day. We'll see you tonight. We'll see you tonight.
Poor Tiny. I felt so bad for him. And
I
I went
know.
inside because at first I thought he was being facetious, and I looked, I'm like, oh no, he voted for him.
I know. I did the same thing. I thought he was being facetious, and I was like, oh, shit, he really did.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, you guys. Don't forget live tomorrow night with Joyful. Watch Cyber tonight, you guys. And Nick, are you going live today at any time?
I'm not sure. There's been a lot going on my end of things. I've just recently taken on a whole bunch of new responsibilities. I'm gonna actually DM you over it. DW already knows what's going on, and so does Dagda. I'm helping Father Mark with a lot of things because things went really bad really fast on that front. I'll talk to Liz and see if she's up for it, but I don't. If somebody else wants to go live, I have no problem paneling, but I do have, unfortunately.
Yeah,
this.
I
But
might go live, Nick.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
cool.
not sure yet.
I
Yeah,
might
if you don't
panel with you
DC,
for
I
a
could
while.
too.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
What'd you
I'll
say,
keep
Dag?
you
I'm sorry.
Crystal with what's going on.
Okay.
Dag, did you say you're going live?
He said he might if you can't.
If need be, if you can't do it, then I could. Like,
Okay.
in all honesty, I'm starting to feel a lot better than I was before, so I can do
Good.
panel, like not just panel lives. I mean, man.
Pool vibes. You got it.
Yeah. Yes and no. We're gonna be starting up full time in the fall. Some stuff happened. I don't want to go into complete detail. The fall. Look forward to the fall. That's what I'll say for now. He will have some a couple of summer courses available, just a few though, but they have the new the professors coming in the fall, so then we can do full course loads again. But at the moment it's kind of at a halt. I mean, I'm doing independent study right now, but it's yeah, it's
yeah, no need to go into it, Nick. It's okay.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was something that happened that was just not fucking expected, and I'm just right now I'm just trying to be as supportive as I can to Father Mark. So
Okie doke. Well, again, it looks like JD might go live in just a little bit. So if you're not following JD, that's Deconstruct with me right here. Make sure you are. If not, Dagda will be live, and you should follow Dagda. I will try to come up on the panel if I can. I'm trying to do kind of a lot right now. I have been doing lives again where we do conversation. It's a little bit more one-on-one. I do bring up one friendly. Tahir was my friendly the last time, and we talked about Christians' favorite Bible stories. So I will be doing those. I can't give you a schedule for those because unfortunately My focus right now is Decon Q&A with Crystal J, and that's where I bring on these great creators to come and talk with me and let you guys come up and ask them questions. My next one is Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and my guest is Nick Graves right here.
Yay.
So come up, talk to Nick Graves, ask her all your questions, and and so because I have to leave my schedule kind of open to work around their schedules, it's hard for me. I don't want to tell them like I can't do it this day or I can't do it that day. I already have to do that with Monday and Wednesday or Thursday nights with Joyful, where I have to tell them I can't do Monday and I can't do Thursday, you know. So I like to leave the rest of the schedule open, and then I fit 1 or 2 in a week. I try to fit 2 in a week of the Decon Q&A around their schedules. So here's who I've got coming up, by the way. Nick Graves on Sunday. I think I have 2 shows on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I have Sam in the morning. If you don't know who Sam is who goes live a lot with Mezzo and Joel. And then in the evening, I have Life Beyond Belief. I don't know why I keep doing that. And then next week I have El Oso, and I also have, I think, Board Agnostic. So so I have some great creators coming up. Hi, Liz.
Liz?
Hey, Liz.
Cookie?
Hello.
You unmuted, but I don't hear anything.
How dare TikTok censor my baby?
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, there you are.
I
Look at
forgot.
Nico.
I forgot about that, Nick. Anyway.
But yeah, I just realized.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, tiny, tiny.
I wanted to come up because I know that Nick will not do this on her own, so I'll do it for her. You mentioned that you guys are doing the Decon Q&A on Friday with Nick. I want to point out Nick's specialties so that you can come prepared with some really good questions.
Thank you.
So not only is Nick, really good at just the Bible in general, and is also a pagan, Celtic pagan, so can answer questions there.
Nordic.
I'm thinking about Dag. I was looking at Dag. I'm sorry. Nordic pagan. Dag is Celtic pagan. Damn it. Okay. Anyway, I tried and I failed.
Right.
But Nick's specialty when it comes to the Bible is, I almost said Jesus. Fucking hell. This is what I get for coming up here rushed. Nick's specialty is Satan, the devil, the Antichrist, biblical end of days, all of that, like the rapture, anything like that, that you have questions on, that is where you should go. And so if you have any questions about any of those types of things, write them down, write them down, and get ready for Friday, and because we need to grill the shit out of Nick on this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you guys better come up too, because here's what happens. A lot of you don't come up when I do the lives, but I know you have questions and I know you want to talk to them. At least thank the creators that I bring up. So get your butt up on my stage and come talk to them. Don't be shy.
At least,
even if,
I was going to say, at least do what I do. Just come up and thank them for what they do.
Oh, yeah. And if you can, if you're like really, really shy, ask the questions in the comments and I'll read them. I'm really good at that. Bert, welcome back. I want you to know you'll be very proud of me, Bert, because while you were gone, I had questions. And what I did was I looked up rabbinic commentaries. And then I found Rashi. So so I did good.
My main man Rashi.
Yeah, I knew you would be proud of that.
Way to go,
so
Chris.
my question was about why you couldn't use the hewn stones on the altar, you know. And then I looked it up and saw what Rashi, and then I can't.
Did you talk about using metal tools?
Yeah, I talked about using metal tools. And
Did you
the
talk about using metal
violence.
tools?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did it also mention? So there's a midrash on the final hour of creation, on the sixth day of creation, that there were 10 things created, and one of them. Am I bad connection? Can you hear me? Okay.
No, yeah, I can hear you better now.
So there was. Okay, so there were 10 things that were created in the final hour of creation, and one of them was a worm that cut out the rocks in order to build the temple. And so, of course, the stones were hewn using metal tools, but they were so uncomfortable with this because they were so anti-violence, ironically, that they, right, at least, well, anyway, yeah, so they were so people are just running red lights and trying to walk across the street. So they were so anti-weapons or whatever that they made the story about worms that hewn the stones for the temple.
That is funny.
It's funny, yeah.
Liz, I would still love you if you were a worm, but I don't think Nick would. I just
Nick, I had asked Nick this question, and Nick
Liz.
said no.
Liz. No.
Yes. See?
To be fair, we're all worms, right? We're worms with a bone and muscle encasement.
There we go.
Okay. There you
We're
go.
just a digestive tract. We're a digestive tract with bones and skin and muscle.
There you go. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to end it here. I love you. We'll pick up on 21 next week. If you want to have a little head start, then go to Joel Reed's Bible and find chapter 21, 22, 23, and then listen to Joel mock it, and then you'll be ready for next week. I love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you around the mean streets of TikTok. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.